Hello everyone, and welcome back to Let's Play Final Fantasy IV DS. In this episode we're going to explore Kaipo, see what's going on. We're going to check out the Fat Chocobo, see what he's got to offer. Okay, so right now all we can do is play with White. So you can change his face up if you want, and his abilities. His abilities depend on what abilities you have on all your characters. He'll inherit abilities from all the different characters you have. As for training, training depends on which of the 5 characters what I mean to say is that with each of the 5 characters that you'll have in the end game, you'll get a minigame specific to that character, and that character will train a different stat. Anyway, I'm probably not going to mess with the White mechanics and stuff. I'm probably not going to mess around with White in this playthrough. Okay, so there's a girl named Anna who fled town because her father forbade her from talking to some guy, or being with some guy. Came hoping to find work as a dancer at Damsian Castle, but the waterway leading there is infested with dangerous monsters. At least watch my show in the meantime. Have you heard? Young lady from Baron was found collapsed on the outskirts of town. Fair as the desert moon, they say. The ones who found her carried her inside to recover. Okay, this person explains putting people in the back row. In the front row, people do more physical damage, but get dealt more physical damage, while people in the back row deal less physical damage with their attacks and take less physical damage. Damsian Castle in the north rules all the lands of this desert. Its prince is said to have a voice and face as fair as any maiden's. Oh, it's Naming Way. Or excuse me, Mapping Way. Oh, hello again, Cecil. What am I doing here, you ask? Well, as luck would have it, I accidentally dropped all of my maps and pens into that huge fissure that opened up near the Valley of Mist. Having lost the ability to map, the name Mapping Way seems rather inappropriate. But I really don't know what to do next. I'm taking some time to reevaluate my life now. Again? Mapping Way became Living Way the Vagrant. Oh no. I've just been spending my days looking over the pages of this bestiary with no particular trade to call my own. Would you like to view the bestiary? Well then, by all means. Okay, the bestiary lets you look at any enemies you've killed before, and Let you know what level they are, what kind of stats they have, what kind of treasures they drop. Actually, I'm not sure if it shows the stats, but it'll at least show you the drops, how much experience and gold they give. It can be useful. Found that poor young lady collapsed outside the village, completely incoherent. Seems to have succumbed, how do you pronounce that? To desert fever on the way from Baron. The little deer keeps mumbling the name Cecil over and over. Uh-oh, we know this person. That's an augment, by the way. I'll explain a little bit more about that a little later. Desert fever can be cured by exposure to the light of a Damsian sand pearl. Obtaining one, however, is no simple task. They can only be found within a cave where an antlion dwells. Looks like we've got a mission. Oh, Cecil, it seems you've gotten your hands on an interesting item there, doesn't it? Let me explain how that auto potion works. A rather special kind of item known as an augment. Using it on a party member will teach that member an ability. Augments appear in the key items list. Don't forget to use them once you've received them. You can find augments left behind by various people scattered throughout the world. Be sure to keep your eyes open, you'll be glad you did. Until we meet again. Now, what he doesn't explain is that certain characters that aren't in your endgame party will end up... You can inherit certain augments from characters at some point as they leave your party, but you'll only get one augment from most of them, unless you give them up to 2 augments. At least in most cases, there is one exception. But giving certain characters augments will net you certain abilities. Say, for example, there's a character later in the game that... Uh-oh. This is bad. There's a character later in the game that we will inherit the abilities Bless, Omnicast, and Phoenix, I believe. But only if we give them 2 augments. Otherwise, we'll only get the 1 augment. Bless. Go ahead and rest up for the night. Got our HP back. That's kind of harsh that in such an early area of the game there's an enemy that can use Whirlwind and cut your HP down to critical levels. In this playthrough, we'll try and map out all the maps as we go, just because we can. Okay, we are not ready for this. We are not prepared. I'm gonna go rest at the inn and possibly do a little bit of leveling. Jeez. Yeah, this game's a bit harder than the original game. Uh-oh. I don't have any money. Here we go. I'm gonna go ahead and speed things up and do a little bit of grinding for levels. Okay, and we're back. I've leveled up Rydia 3 times and we've learned a few new spells. By the way, I didn't mention, but Rydia is both an accomplished magician and summoner, or at least, well, she's accomplished in black magic, white magic also, but she's not going to have many summoning spells just yet. But her magical prowess is much appreciated in the early game, especially with that cure spell. Okay, let's try this again. Here you probably want to kill that amoeba first because it can revive everything else if I remember correctly. And you probably want to use lightning magic on these creatures because they're aquatic enemies. They tend to be weak to electricity. There we go. Yeah, certain enemies can counter with either attacks or spells. Thought I saw a pixel on the map that wasn't colored in. That's why I went back there for a second. Okay, got another tent. Tents are always useful. This may or may not be bad. Tiny mages are kind of strong. Whoa. Let's just run away from this particular encounter. Especially since they have Osmos, since they counter with Osmos. Osmos leeches MP, which means that Rydia just had a good chunk of her MP pool taken away from her, and she needs MP for healing. That must be Anna that one guy was talking about in Kaipo. Tricked by a silver-tongued bard. Apparently Tella has a reputation. The sage Tella joined the party. Okay, Tella knows some... he knows some fairly strong magic for this point in the game. He has the Cure spell, he's got Fire, Blizzard, Thunder, Sleep, Poison, and Osmos. Osmos is helpful because he can leech MP from certain monsters. And that will give, that may give us some sustainability in terms of long term. Having Osmos may give us some sustainability in terms of being able to stay in these dungeons without having to go back to heal. Also, I do believe that Tella has quite a bit better intellect at this point in the game than Rydia. Yep. He's pretty powerful at this point in the game with his magic. Not much point of going over there except to map out the place. Wonder why they put that there anyway. That particular bridge. I figured there'd be a chest over there. With Tella on our side, we might stand a chance against these tiny mages. And we do. By the way, one of the things about the Final Fantasy IV DS version, levels up to level 70 have fixed stat increases. Except I think that health and MP might be a little randomized, but the main 5 stats being strength, speed, I think vitality, stamina, and spirit. Or wait, spirit and intelligence. Well, the 5 main stats, they're fixed for the first 70 levels. I believe in other versions of the game the level ups are randomized after that. But in the DS version it's based on what abilities you have equipped to your characters at the time. And depending on if you have the right abilities, you can max out the stats on all your characters. Let's see, is everybody's health okay? Looks like everybody's okay. Never hurts to check and make sure everyone's healthy. Uh-oh, back attack. Let's go ahead and swap rows. I'm just gonna have telecast Osmose, then I think I'll run from this battle. Tiny mages definitely have MP, so I'm gonna go ahead and see if I can leech a decent amount of MP from them before running away. And it looks like we got back all the MP we could. His maximum MP is Tella's maximum MP is fixed at 90, unless you get a special item. There are some items that will raise MP and HP values, the maximum MP and HP, but they're kind of rare. I'll explain later why his MP pool doesn't grow. By the way, one thing I forgot to mention was Tella has the ability Recall. There's a select number of spells that it may or may not use. I can't remember if they cost MP or not if you're using Recall, but Recall has some random spells that it'll select through if he manages to successfully remember something. Tella's a sage, and he used to know a lot of spells, and he forgot most of them. Later in the game we'll figure it out, or later in the game we'll actually unlock his hidden abilities. Oops, didn't mean to do that. But we should be fine as soon as Tella casts fire. Battle should be through after that. Wait, was that a back attack? I guess swapping rows was a good thing. Five eye drops. Uh-oh, back attack. Might as well use this chance to cast Osmose. There we go. Rydia learned Kira. Oh, if you notice there, Tella's strength went down. Tella's getting old, so some of his level ups actually end up hurting some of his stats. Tella's not going to be doing any physical fighting, though, just magical. So that doesn't really matter much. At least the strength stat doesn't matter for him. Oh yeah, the spell Kira that Rydia learned. That's the second level white spell. Or the second level cure spell. In the original translation of... or... in a lot of Final Fantasy games, the different tiers of spells are denoted by a certain ending. For example, level 1 fire is fire, level 2 fire is fira, ending with an A, and level 3 fire is firaga. Similarly, the cure spells are cure, kira, and kiraga, ending with a G. And there's also kiraja, ending with a J, a 4th level white spell, or 4th level cure spell. Okay, looks like the silver armlet's a little better than what Tella has. That's one of the things about this game. You're probably going to be doing a lot of healing in between battles. Let's try out the recall ability, see what we get. Here Tell's explaining the save points that are in dungeons. Normally you can only save or use tents on the overworld, but in dungeons these save points will let you do those functions. seems like a good place to end the episode. See you in the next video. Bye-bye.